Okay, what is the architecture of MEOWSER? Let me try to explain all the piece parts and how it's put together. I'm looking at the admin tab of my software here because that's where I decided to stick this picture. On the bottom left here is cabinets. So I'll describe later how I built the cabinets, but basically it's 5 individual ones and they're all bolted together. So each cabinet is connected with a cable to the electronics that control that cabinet. The computer here in the middle is also connected to the electronics. This big box here signifies all the electronics. So this black box electronics thing, the computer talks to that, and the box of electronics talks to the cabinet. The computer itself has the list of elements, minerals, and cabinets in a database, which I'll describe in a little bit here. And so when you're mousing over MEOWSER and lighting stuff up, it's pulling information from the database, sending information to this chunk of stuff, and then sending it to the cabinet. Okay, what are the electronic components? There's a USB cable connected from the computer to an Arduino microcontroller. And that's just a fun little thing that people have built robotics with and all kinds of stuff. You go out to the web, you'll read all kinds of projects that you can do with the Arduino. So the Arduino itself has software that I wrote and downloaded to it that it runs. So you have software on the computer, which you see with your mouse and move around on it, and there's software on the Arduino. The Arduino takes all the commands that are sent from the computer and sends them to shift registers. I will get into more of the electronic details here in a little bit, but basically it's a bunch of wires and chips on breadboards. The shift registers send their commands to the transistor arrays. The power, which is a PC power supply, is what I was able to use, which I needed 3.3 volts. The power is switched on and off to all these cabinets using the shift registers. Okay, so what I want to do here is show you a close-up of the electronic components that interface between the Arduino and the cabinets. Each cabinet has one of these breadboards. I hate soldering. It has a breadboard with the stuff it needs and a bunch of wires from here to the cabinet. So what happens is the Arduino has 3 wires that come out here and is connected to this first chip, which is called a shift register. It splits my byte into 8 bits. The 8 bits come across these wires here to this chip, which is a transistor array. The transistor array takes the power from the computer power supply, and this chip switches the power on and off to each of the 8 LEDs that are connected to this chip. So there will be 8 wires from here to the cabinet for 8 LEDs. Now the way shift registers work, I can stack them together. So what really happens here is I have 2 bytes coming into this shift register. It sends 1 byte to here for 8 LEDs, and it sends the next byte downstream here to another shift register. This shift register sends its 8 bits to another transistor array, which powers 8 more LEDs. Each one of my cabinets has 15 LEDs, not 16. And so from here I have a cabling scheme where I send my 15 wires plus the power return to the cabinet. And all my cabinets are hooked together with screws, and I can uncable and unscrew everything so I can transport it, fix things. Okay, just so you know what the back of the cabinet looks like. The bottom here that's the PC power supply that's built into the bottom cabinet. The Arduino's down there, and then I have all my cables that are coming out of the bottom here and going up to each of the individual cabinets here. Each cabinet has its own breadboard with all the circuitry And this whole thing fits together. I have just a side plate on the whole thing that holds the whole thing together for display purposes, and then I can just unscrew it for maintenance purposes. I underwent several different cabinet designs during this project. This is the final version. I built and destroyed 3 other versions before I finally arrived at this. My goal was simplicity, and the first ones I started with were way too complicated and it just wasn't working for me. So what you have here is just simple plywood on the bottoms and sides, and the LEDs are attached to the top here. I drilled holes and mounted them with LED holders. Looks pretty simple, but coming up with the parts that fit together easily wasn't quite so easy. I have slots here on the side so that the plastic front, glass front, can slip in and out easily. And then on each one of these cabinets, what happens is I'll mount my electronics back here, and actually I should give you a picture of that, and then the cabling will come through the hole here to all the LEDs.